All right, everyone, good evening. I'll call this meeting of Lancaster City Council for March 26, 2024 to order. A couple of reminders here at the top. This is a great opportunity to silence your phones and devices if you haven't done so already. This meeting and its participants are being recorded. There will be several opportunities for public comment this evening. If you do wish to make a comment, please do so here at the podium in front of us and speak into the microphone so that you can be heard, both in this room and on our live stream. Comments must begin with your name and block of residence for our meeting record, and comments should be addressed toward council. They're limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and they should address items that are and may become before council as legislation. To keep time, you'll see this light here before me turn green when a speaker begins. It will turn yellow when there is 1 minute remaining and turn red when 3 minutes have been exhausted. Thanks everyone in advance for helping keep equal time for everyone. And now for all that are willing and able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Harris, would you please call the roll of members?
Yes, Madam President. Councilor Ahmed.
Here.
Councilor Arroyo.
Here.
Councilor Calise.
Here.
Councilor Craig.
Here.
Councilor Diaz.
Here.
Councilor Hirsch.
Here.
And President Beke.
Here. Next order of business is approving the minutes for the March 12th, 2024 meeting of council.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any council comments on the minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Councilor Ahmed.
Aye.
Councilor Arroyo.
Aye.
Councilor Calise.
Aye.
Councilor Craig.
Aye.
Councilor Diaz.
Aye.
Councilor Hirsch.
Aye.
And President Beke.
Aye. The next item on our agenda is proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition. I don't believe we have any of those. Is that correct, Mr. Harris?
That's true, Madam President. We do not.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comment reserved for residents who contacted the city clerk prior to the meeting to request the opportunity to address council. Do we have any of those comments, Mr. Harris?
We had one, Madam President, Judy Harding.
Judy. I did not see Ms. Harding. Is that correct?
I have not seen her.
All right. If she does come before the end of the meeting, I'll make sure that I call on her in our second public comment period. Are there any additional speakers?
There are not.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Next item on the agenda is reports requested by council. I don't believe there is any. Is that correct?
That is correct.
After that, interim reports of committees of council. Do we have any of those, Mr. Harris?
We do not.
Thank you. That takes us into our legislative agenda this evening. The first items are for Heritage Conservation District. Mr. Harris.
Consider the following application and recommendation from the Historical Commission for improvements to properties within the Heritage Conservation District. Ting and Zhao Gao, owners of 438 North Queen Street, proposed construction of an outdoor refreshment pavilion, and that application was recommended for approval by the Historical Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. I'll hear a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig, do you have anything on this one?
I don't, not more than what
Okay.
he has, nothing to add.
Thank you. This one was recommended for approval by the Historical Commission. Do we have any of the representatives for the applicant here? Would either of you wish to speak on the application? Okay, thank you so much. Just wanted to give you the opportunity. Are there any council comments on the recommendation?
I just had a question about it. I don't know if you're able to answer. Just how large is the pavilion that's being constructed?
Yes, please. If the little green light isn't on when you get up, just hit the little button. Thank you. And your name when you start. Thank you.
So I'm Chris Trendler with Decades. We are the first floor tenant there. The outdoor space where there's like a yard on the right, if you're looking at the building, yard on the left, this would be on the right, and it would be about 14 by 10.
So it's a lot smaller than I was maybe picturing. Okay.
I don't know what you were picturing exactly.
Yeah,
But,
no, I was just curious. That's really my only question.
and then like a paver patio in front of it.
Yeah.
Pavilion
wonderful.
is a word that could mean lots of things. So
True, yeah.
Descriptor.
Fair enough.
Any further council comments? Comments from the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Med,
Aye.
Mr. Roya,
Aye.
Mr. Cleese,
Aye.
Ms. Craig,
Aye.
Ms. Diaz,
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
President Baker.
Aye. Next item on the agenda are ordinances for final passage. We start with Administration Bill Number 3, 2024. Mr. Harris.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lancaster, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, establishing appropriations of $300,000 of American Rescue Plan Act proceeds received in 2022, providing for the repeal of inconsistent ordinances, providing for the severability of the ordinance, and providing that the ordinance shall take effect as provided by Pennsylvania law.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Ahmed.
Thank you, Council President. We did go over this bill in our committee meeting, and we also had a first reading at the last meeting of council. This bill will allocate $300,000 of the Return $2 million American Rescue Plan Acts for the grant portion of the critical housing repairs program that the city is implementing, as well as their low-interest loan program, which is separate from this ordinance. Are there any questions or comments for council?
Councilor Ahmed, I just wanted to say that this is a much-needed grant dollars to complement that loan program. And in the last meetings, we had descriptions of a waiting list for these funds. So I think it's a good use and goes toward our goal of repairing, maintaining, and creating affordable housing in the city of Lancaster.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, I do agree that this is going to help families stay in their homes and allow them to have grant dollars towards projects that will preserve affordable housing throughout the city. Are there any comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Madam President.
Here, Mr. Harris, go ahead and call the vote.
Mr. Med,
Aye.
Mr. Roya,
Aye.
Mr. Cleese,
Aye.
Ms. Craig,
Aye.
Ms. Diaz,
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
and President Baker.
Aye. Our next ordinance for final passage is Administration Bill Number 4, 2024. Mr. Harris.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lancaster, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, awarding contracts for the creation and production and/or rehabilitation of affordable housing units pursuant to a previous appropriation of $5 million of American Rescue Plan Act proceeds in October 2021 by Ordinance Number 18, 2021, providing for the repeal of inconsistent ordinances, providing for the severability of the ordinance, and providing that the ordinance shall take effect as provided by Pennsylvania law.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This one's also Councilor Ahmed.
Thank you, Council President. This bill is for the remaining $1.7 million of the Returned American Rescue Plan Act funds. Again, we did go over this in our committee meeting and a first reading in our last meeting of council. And this would allocate 4 projects in the amount of $1.7 million. HDC Mid-Atlantic College Avenue, $500,000. HDC Mid-Atlantic College Avenue 2, $300,000. Partners with Purpose, $400,000 for new projects, and Thaddeus Stevens College, $500,000, totaling $1.7 million. Are there any questions or comments from council? From the public? Council President?
Thank you, Councilor Ahmed. If there isn't any further comment, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Med,
Aye.
Mr. Roya,
Aye.
Mr. Cleese,
Aye.
Ms. Craig,
Aye.
Ms. Diaz,
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
President Baker.
Aye. And that concludes our legislative agenda for this evening and takes us to our second public comment period. This is open for comment for issues that were not, previously on the agenda. Again, duration of comments is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Is there's anyone wishing to make public comment this evening? Hearing none, we'll close that public comments section. The next item on our agenda this evening is the report of the mayor. Mayor Sirachi.
Thank you, Council President. Saturday was a really difficult day, and I thought I'd just give you, as council members, a report about how your team showed up. And I want to first begin by saying that we are in the midst of an investigation, the Police Bureau and the District Attorney's Office, and are committed to making those the people, the persons who sent the email with the bomb threats accountable for their actions. Those threats disrupted the lives of thousands of residents and visitors, our local business community, and wasted precious public resources. These threats, as you know, specifically targeted the LGBTQ+ community, the media, and our public library. And I just want to reiterate that the use of fear to manipulate and control our community is not going to be tolerated in the city of Lancaster. And I know that council joins me in affirming this message, as well as the message to our LGBTQ+ community and our fantastic library, that the city appreciates and celebrates you. And it was just a very chaotic day on Saturday for a lot of people. I want council to know that your police bureau did an outstanding job. And in addition, the work that we've been doing around emergency response really shone through on Saturday. And obviously, we've learned a lot collectively as a community coming out of the multiple crises of 2020 and more recent events of how to respond appropriately and communicate well with the residents of the city. So I want to also congratulate our communications team that was present throughout the day, that was helping to develop maps for where we needed to evacuate because we learned that there's a 150-yard radius around any potential bomb, and how to communicate with those individuals using technology that we had just recently gotten access to and are utilizing to communicate with residents in specific ways. So there'll be more to come about how we're leveraging different communication tools, how we're reaching the public with emergency information and messages related to public safety. But for now, I just wanted council to just know that your team did a really great job. I also just want to acknowledge Deputy Chief DeLong, as well as Chief Mendez and his command staff, for the coordination that happened. So having an emergency coordinator in Deputy Chief DeLong was helpful, and the Fire Bureau and the Police Bureau worked well together, as well as the other departments in the city that were necessary to respond. So it was a very frenetic time between when the email was received and 1:30, which is when the bombs were set to go off, to make sure that we were communicating and making sure that people could get to safety. And fortunately, no one was injured. And again, I look forward to continued investigative efforts to find out the perpetrator of this threat. I'm going to switch gears now to a happier topic, which is to say that today we got word that the city received $450,000 from the Commonwealth Financing Authority for our Water Street Pedestrian and Bicycle Boulevard project. This project is part of the city's Vision Zero initiative to eliminate traffic-related serious injuries and fatalities by 2030, and will provide an essential north-south connection for the city's overall bike network. This funding will go towards raised intersection, ADA-compliant ramps, improved crosswalks, and rapid flashing beacons that can signal when a pedestrian is crossing the street. So we're grateful to have that support. We have some, we need to raise some more money to bring this project to fruition, but $450,000 is a really healthy start. So thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mayor Sirachi. I appreciate that. The next item on the agenda is the report of President of Council, and I'd like to take a moment to echo a lot of what you mentioned, sharing my gratitude to the Lancaster City Police and Fire for their actions on Saturday. It was clearly a very tense situation, and I truly appreciate their work in keeping everyone safe. I did also note to thank our city communication staff for helping keeping the public informed as best they could throughout the day. Things were changing very rapidly, so we are incredibly grateful to them. And my heart aches especially for everyone who was affected, but particularly our LGBTQ community. And I just want to say that what happened on Saturday didn't have to happen. I'm incredibly disappointed, but not necessarily surprised that some of our other countywide elected officials promoted some hateful ideas about what was allegedly going to happen at this event that was reading books to children and inciting threats of violence in doing so. And we like to say that hate doesn't have a home here, but the truth is that sadly, it lives right next door, and we have an awful lot of work to do. But I know I'm committed to doing that work and with the LGBTQ community and helping them feel as safe as possible. So, thank you. And that concludes my report. Next item on the agenda is council comments. Are there any council comments this evening? Hearing none, and having reached the conclusion of our agenda, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.